It's Waxing Lyrical Baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical Mainz and Dutts. I'm your host, Mainz, and my colleague, maybe benched for the first series because he's not wearing a tie. It's Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
Well, in the past, I've made my stance against ties perfectly clear. It is the most pointless item of clothing in Christendom, so I stand with Cam Newton on this. Preening schmo that he is.
The reason that Cam Newton didn't wear a tie is not because he doesn't like them or he thinks it's a useless accoutrement to his shirt. It's that it didn't go with his outfit. Right.
Of all the crimes against clothing that Cam Newton has committed this season, is this really the one that you'd bench him for? That one that he looked like Lyle Langley from The Simpsons a couple of weeks back, that was worse than him not wearing a tie.
I'm not a football player, so I don't know all about team ethics and doing things like that. I'm like, you benching him because he didn't wear a tie. He wasn't like he wasn't dressed. He did walk around in clothes, right? It's smart cash. What's your issue?
As well, if you are going to bench him for the first play, first series, or whatnot, Derek Anderson passing to Mike Talbot as your first play, really?
I think that does technically sum up the Carolina Panthers offense this season, though, doesn't it? That's kind of all they've got in their play slip.
Yeah, just punt.
Yeah, true. So in week 14, we are seriously at the business end. 4 weeks left of the regular season, but literally probably the last week in your fantasy league, if not the start of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to kick off with
everyone is who you thought they were.
Yeah, I mean, you are not playoff bound in the league of record. Disaster.
No, not this year.
Not this year. Maybe next year. Yeah.
Well, for me, never for you.
Planning for true. Hot wax takes 3 games in a week. Fancy darlings and losers, and then on with our teams of the week. So let's get it straight started. Done with the hot takes. You know when you copy the smartest guy in the room because you think that you'll be able to do what he does because he does it and it works? I have a message for Jay Gruden, head coach of the Washington professional football team. Defer again when you win the toss. Go on. I dare you to defer again. Back-to-back weeks you've allowed teams to just walk down the field when you know that your defence stinks. Why are you allowing your team to be 7-0 down before the game has even started?
I'm sensing you're not happy.
It's not that I'm not happy, and I'm not like that. The house is on fire based on the Arizona game. I actually thought we would lose that game, but the deferring thing is just a non-starter for me. I don't understand it. You're not Bill Belichick, so don't try to be.
I mean, personally, just from my days of playing Madden, I want the ball first. I want to send a statement to the opposition that this is what I'm going to do to you. So if I win the toss, this defer crap, I have no interest. Give me the ball.
I understand. I could possibly understand it if you had a really good defense and a middling. See the Ravens, I can almost kind of understand it. But Washington are built solely on their offense. They basically got the best offense in the league, and you've said, "Nah, we don't want the ball." Why not? Do you not want to be 7-0 up? I'm confused by the situation.
It's like a fat man turning down cake.
Exactly, Dutton. And I'm sure we'll get onto a fat man later. What's your first hot take?
If you have to, and it's certainly in DFS, start Colin Kaepernick.
You are not falling off that horse after last week. To be fair to Colin, not necessarily his fault. Dutton did say he was a fancy darling. I didn't think we knew it was going to snow, and his coach was not going to allow him to throw.
The process of arriving at deciding that Colin Kaepernick was a worthwhile start was sound. It's just one of those statistical anomalies that happen sometimes. It's a bloody good thing that he got told he could start again because the Niners are playing the Jets, and that's it's a cure for all ills, especially if they've got Bryce Petty under centre. But he won't back down.
The resistible force meets the movable object. Wow, that game could be awful.
Yeah. I did hear it. I was listening to the Bleeding Green Radio podcast, which is an Eagles podcast. And one of the persons saying, the worst thing about this season is, for all the offensive struggles and whatnot, is that all I really still want to do is punch Chip Kelly in the face.
It's a very good point, Don. It's a very good point. A kind of joint hot take for me next, which is the Titans are going to win the South when they win this week against the Broncos, and because of that, the Broncos aren't going to make the playoffs.
I can go with you halfway down this road.
Which half are you taking?
I don't think the Broncos will make the playoffs, but the Titans aren't going to beat them.
You think Broncos win this week?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just have a feeling because they can't. I know the defense is good in Denver. Don't get me wrong, but the Titans can score, and I'm not sure the Broncos can.
The days of the shut-down defence are long since past. It's just a question of can you muster enough. I mean, score on defence. They did it last week. They can do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What's your hot
And
take?
by the way, anyone who thinks Justin Forsett is instantly going to come in and be an impact obviously didn't watch him play for Baltimore early this season.
Yeah, that's not going to work. What's your final hot take, Dutton?
It may sound obvious to say this, bearing in mind where those teams finished in relation to where this team's finished, but this is one of the worst Eagles teams I've ever seen. And Zach Ertz's Ole to stop inverted commas Vontaze Burfict hitting Carson Wentz on a rushing play is up there with the Steve Smith diving before a first down marker on fourth down and Ronnie Brown throwing, having already run forward with the ball, both from the 2011 season, as stupidest, worst plays I've ever seen in an Eagles uniform. Seriously, when I saw that bot with Ertz, I was embarrassed. Especially as, name me a player in the NFL that wouldn't, with the chance, take that shot against Burfict.
You'd like to think so, Neil, although I assume people are scared of him. Zach Ertz was supposed to be someone, and that either isn't ever going to happen or has certainly not happened yet.
Zach Ertz, Ben, we're in week 14, as you say, hasn't broken a tackle yet.
That's a good effort, Dutton. Do you know what, Dutton? That leads us swiftly on to my final hot take and our final hot take, because my hot take is actually Neil's hot take. And for the past, I would say, 3 years, on and off, I bait Neil on the fact that he secretly wants Andy Reid to still be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. They fell out of love, I understood that, but there was unrequitedness there, and it needed to be dealt with. This week, Dutton, what did you text me?
I miss Big Red.
Dutton admitted finally that Andy Reid, a few clock management issues aside, is a wizard and is winning with a popgun quarterback and no offense.
I miss the starting every press conference with injuries. I miss starting every press conference after a game with the phrase, I've got to do a better job as a football coach. I miss the bizarre timeouts. I miss the fact that with absolute no marks at wide receiver, he still generated enough offense to get a team to an NFC Championship game. Not once, not twice, but 3 times before they decided, we should probably get a receiver. I also miss when you've said something to a journalist, you stick to it. When you're asked the same thing 3 times, you don't change your answer the 3rd time. Doug. If you've already come up and said, this team didn't quit, this team didn't quit, this team didn't quit, you can't then for the 4th time say, okay, some of them quit. Can't do it.
You can't do it, don't it? And I think that's where people misconstrue Andy Reid. Andy Reid went into a shootout against Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Devontae Freeman, Tyler Gabriel, and Kyle Shanahan, and won by wizardry alone.
And onions.
Wizardry and onions, that was it. Glad Dutton, you've openly admitted it. It'll help the healing process that you've admitted that. Is this how
Liverpool fans feel about Dalglish and Benitez? Is this what I'm feeling?
It is, yeah. I look at that Newcastle team and I'm like, keep it going, Rafa. I look forward to playing you twice a year next year.
Can we move on?
Let's move on, Dalton. Let's get straight on with it. Games of the week.
The games of the week.
Touchdown, 85 yards. He's going to score. He's going to score. He's going to score. Touchdown.
First game done. Big game. Early game on Sunday. Steelers at Bills. I suppose the first question is, the Steelers have really struggled against the rush, and they're playing LaShawn McCoy, or as we like to call him, Shady. Is that a recipe for money DFS-wise?
I would think so. I mean, McCoy, a lot of the stats, by the way, this week are courtesy of Rich Rebar of Rotoworld, his worksheet. I've been busy with work, so I've had to steal his. Shady McCoy averages 5.8 yards per carry on first down. That's the most of any running back in the league. The worry is that he still doesn't see goal line work, and if you can go back to his time with the Eagles, he's not trusted in the red zone. They do like to give the ball to Mike Gillisley or Gillespie or whatever you call it. I don't care. This isn't so much of a problem this week because the Steelers don't give up red zone touchdowns, but McCoy does that much work in between the 20s that he's worth playing this week because there's a good chance if he's going to score, it'll be a big one.
On the other side, obviously, we've mentioned in the past about Big Ben's sluggish road stats. Can he get over them this week against the Buffalo Bills? I think he needs to if the Steelers want to make the playoffs.
Well, they are one of the teams, the Bills, that do allow the big play. They've given up, how many I've got here, 42 completions on throws 15 or more yards down the field. Ben Roethlisberger has 42 completions of 15 yards or more down the field. This is a big play offense. You know, we've now got Ladarius Green, who showed up last week, that he finally might be fulfilling the promise that he's been teasing us with for the best part of 4 years. Antonio Brown's a stud, we know this, and their third receiver is a running back. So I think that they finally do have an offense. I guess a good defense, let's be honest, but a defense that can be burned on the back end. It's a defense that might allow Roethlisberger to get into his groove if he can stay upright for long enough.
Final question, I guess, Dalton, is Lev Bell's been getting 30 plus touches a game in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Should we expect another 30 plus game? And if so, should we expect a lot of points?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's 27 touches a game this season, including 7 receptions per game. Most wide receivers don't get 7 receptions a game. And these aren't, dump offs. This is Lev Bell splitting out wide and being used, not just on angle routes, but on proper wide receiver routes. They get him involved. He makes everything go. Honestly, I can't project what his totals are going to be because if he doesn't get it with the ground, he'll get it through the air. And, the Bills don't give up fancy points to running backs, but this is not your father's running back. So it'll be interesting because the Steelers have said that at the start they are inclined to franchise tag Lev Bell and then try and negotiate a contract with him. Bit risky for me, but that's another story for another day.
Although doing that with the running backs not too bad, as running backs don't make any money. Steelers at Bills, Dutton. Over-unders 46. Who you got?
I've got the Steelers. I think they're just coming in. They're kicking at the right time. They're doing the Football League team that's actually 10th, in February, and then wins 10 on the spin and gets into the playoffs and then goes up. And what was the 46? Did you say
46?
Under.
Okay, I'm going to take the Steelers too. Although I'm a bit nervous about it, as this is one of those games that the Steelers lose and the Bills win in that kind of weird way. But the Steelers have to win to keep pace with the Ravens and the Broncos / the AFC West if they want to get into the playoffs. I'm going to take the over. I think it's going to be something like quite high scoring. I could see like 50 odd points, maybe 30-24 Steelers.
Tyler Taylor is struggling, though, in the passing game. I mean, in home games, the Bills average, we've got 185 rushing yards per game, but Taylor has only gone over 250 passing yards twice this season. So, and we know that the Steelers don't give up fancy points to wide receivers, so the Taylor-Watkins axis that people are still expecting, I wouldn't expect it this week.
too late for the Watkins access now, Dutton. Next game, Dutton. Big NFC South clash. It's Saints at Bucks. Given the Saints have been sporadic against the rush, although they've been better in recent weeks, is this the time for the big Doug Martin breakout game?
No, he sucks. He's averaged 2.85 yards per carry since coming back to the team and hasn't gone over 3.8 yards per carry in any game. The Saints allow the fewest rushing yards on the road of any team in the NFL, and since week 8 they've only allowed 79 rushing yards per game. He's had a few short touchdowns last few weeks to make sure that he stays off disaster completely, but he stinks. And you know, when your head coach has already come out and said Chuck Sims is going to get activated off IR, we want to get Jaquiz Rogers more involved. Doug, do you remember the 2012 season? You were awesome, and then you lived off that for 2 years. Yeah, you did it again last year, didn't you?
No. A bad week last week for Drew Brees. Done. A lot of people put a lot of faith in Drew Brees, including I did as my fancy quarterback in the DFS. Can he get back on track against the Bucs this week? Well,
the Bucs run defense is actually quite good, which is, you know, it shows because opponents pass against the Bucs on nearly 60% of offensive plays. The Saints pass on over 63% of theirs. So while the Saints running game has been, you know, slightly hit and miss, Mark Ingram is slightly nicked up, Tim Hightower, it was a lovely story. You know, it was charming, it was heartwarming, it was one of those, you know, made for TV movies that you see on the Hallmark Channel or whatnot. It was never going to happen full time. They're going to put the ball in Drew Brees' hands. Michael Thomas is nicked up as well, which is a shame because he is the best wide receiver. Willie Snead has disappeared. Brandon Cooks is a moaning bitch. You know, if I was 2'6" and very quick, I'd keep my mouth shut, personally, especially, as I say, when the rookie's a better player than you. But from a volume point of view, Drew Brees is certainly going to have every opportunity to get back on track.
A non-fantasy related question, Dutton, and that it's one for Charles Dagnall. Do we believe in the Bucs?
Do you?
Then we got 4 games. These are the 4 games versus the Saints, at the Cowboys, at the Saints, versus Carolina. They probably need to go 3-1 to make the playoffs.
I've got them 2-2 at best.
They're going to lose at Dallas and probably lose at New Orleans, I would guess, would be my assumption.
Although they did win there last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a decent team, although, you know, I think what I was listening to, was it Bill Simmons and Mike Lombardi said that like, Jameis Winston is making a highlight reel of what should have been great pick sixes that have been dropped by cornerbacks. You know, he loves forcing a touchdown / an interception. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, Mike Lombardi will forgive me if I don't take his opinion too seriously.
Got a first round pick. For all the bad things that we can say about Mike Lombardi, did get a first round pick for Trent Richardson. And
used it wonderfully well.
No, he didn't. There is always the tail side of that coin. Do I believe in the Bucs? I didn't think they were going to win the last 2 weeks, and they have, which is really annoying as they've overtaken Washington in the playoffs. I have a feeling that Washington could run the table, so if they run the table, then so do Tampa Bay need to do that as well. So we shall see.
Friend Dagnall doesn't think either of you are making it, so
I have no idea. He probably thinks Green Bay, does he?
I don't know who he thinks. I just know who he doesn't think.
Well, if neither of us two make it, then he needs to find someone else. So I'll be interested to find out who that is.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, on an article I'm creating for NFL Go UK, I've asked some of our friends who've been on the podcast what they want for Christmas from an NFL point of view, and Daggers had the longest list of anyone. One of them was he wanted to change the Bucs uniforms.
Back to creamsicles.
I think we can all agree with. I think just the numbers get them changed. And also he wanted, and I quote, a bloody big meteor to hit and destroy that stupid ship in Raymond James Stadium.
Interesting. Well, we're going to see that stupid big ship. Saints at Bucs, over-unders 51 done.
I'm going to take the Bucs and I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bucks in the over too. I think it's difficult to pick a Saints game where you don't pick the over. You will get it wrong, more times than you'd like. But I just, with Drew Brees and throwing 40, 50 times a game, it's tough to take the under in any situation. I have a feeling we may come back to that game in our teams of the week. Final game, Dutton. Massive game, massive playoff implications. In our division, the NFC East, and we're not talking about the Waxing Lyrical Bowl, Skins at Eagles. We are talking Sunday Night Football, Cowboys at Giants. Done.
The Waxing Lyrical Bowl, or the Bog Bowls, I prefer to think of it this week. That's about as much interest as I've got in it.
I'm so fearful. If we just digress slightly on that game, I'm so fearful of losing because we have beaten you in this exact same situation multiple times where you need it and we don't. So I'm now like, this is a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, well done. This is how I feel. Screw you.
Back on the Giants, Dutton. I don't know if you noticed, but since week 7, only the Browns have a worse offense than the Giants.
Winter is coming.
Winter is here, Neil. Is it OBJ and no one else in this game on the Giants' offense?
Yeah, Beckham has 25% of total offensive yards for the Giants this season. Just think about that. A wide receiver has 25% of your total yards.
It feels like more. It feels like it should be 50.
Yeah. Well, he's not helped. I mean, what's his name? Shepard hasn't gone over 50 receiving yards in his last 9 games. Victor Cruz hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1, and apparently is happy with his role, but he's going to talk to the coach about it. Well, which is it, Victor? You're either happy with it, or you're going to talk to the coach about it. I'll tell you what, get open. Just a thought. Beckham actually doesn't have that good a record against the Cowboys ever since one game where I think he may have caught the ball one-handed or something. But the Cowboys have given up the 3rd fewest fantasy points to running backs. The Giants don't have a running back. Their ground game is abysmal. They're going to have to throw, and when they throw, they're going to have to throw to Odell Beckham. So, yeah, if not him, no one.
I just look at the offense and I think, do you get boring and stale as when you leave? Green Bay, is that a standard? You're not allowed to move people. The funniest picture you will see on Twitter all week is Ben McAdoo with that massive piece of paper when they actually only run 4 plays. He's got to be ordering Chinese. Yeah,
I've said to you, they run 3 wide receivers, 1 full, 1 tight end, 1 running back, 98% of the time. Now, I'm not going to claim to be some offensive guru, but seriously, how many plays can he possibly have out of that formation? Can't be that many. Yeah, I mean, it's a stupidly big card, although he did use it to double up last week to shout at Odell Beckham from behind. So it's good that he's adaptable.
He's a buffoon. The Giants stink against tight ends, Dutton. Is this one of the classic old man whipping games?
Well, in his career against the Giants, he averages 5.3 receptions a game, 54.2 yards, and has 13 touchdowns against them. Now, that's a number that feels too low. I thought that would be much higher. That's his most against any team. As you say, the Giants have seen 105 tight end targets against them this season. That's the 3rd most. Witten didn't get targeted last week at all, so he broke a 130-game stretch with at least 1 reception. He's only gone over 47 yards twice since week 2, and he's only got 2 touchdowns this season. But again, if not now, when? So, if he's going to do anything this season, it'll be against the Giants, who he owns.
Do you reckon, like after the game, you've won the game, everyone's hands, Witten goes back to the locker room and like he's sitting there, and it's the first time he hasn't caught a ball in like 130 games, and Romo sits next to him, hats on backwards, obviously it's Tony, and he goes, "Jason, firstly, I love you. Second of all, I would have thrown you the ball 7 times. Pass it on."
Yeah. He's sitting there, Doc's a tit.
Why do you not throw me the ball? Who always gives it to that running back?
Yeah. We won though, Jason. You won.
I didn't win. I just had to block for that running back.
How red are his arms, by the way? As the year goes on, pinkish red do his arms go?
About the same as Tom Coughlin's face used to go.
Oh, God.
Unlike their struggles against tight ends, the Giants have been really good stopping fancy points for quarterbacks. So is this going to be a struggle for Dak this week?
It depends what you mean by struggle. I mean, Prescott hasn't gone over 200 passing yards in his last 2 games. He still hasn't. He's thrown 1 touchdown pass in each of his last 2 after 5 consecutive multi-touchdown games. He still doesn't turn the ball over. He's got no interceptions in his last 5. The Giants have only allowed 12 passing touchdowns and have 11 interceptions. For the interest of full disclosure, 4 of those did come in 1 game, and it was against Case Keenum. I don't think it'll be a struggle. I just don't think he's going to light it up. He'll do enough. JPP is missing. He was he's one of the best run defenders they have. That's going to hurt them. Ezekiel Elliott is going to get fed, which means we see that bloody stupid celebration time and time and time again. God, eat something, man. Have a Snickers. Why? Because you're a tit when you're hungry. He's not going to struggle. He's not going to put up a Breeze/Kaepernick number, but I don't think he's going to be like a QB1 this week. But no need to panic. If you've had Dak Prescott you've done very well. You don't need another quarterback. But if you've got one, look into it this week, especially as it might be quite important for you.
Cowboys at Giants, dotting over unders 47.5.
Under and Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Cowboys too. They will, as done, feed Ezekiel Elliott, take the air out the ball, keep it down to as few possessions as possible, and probably win something like, I don't know, 21-14.
Something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Winter is coming.
Winter is here, Dutton. Winter isn't coming. Winter is here. Winter means playoffs, but that means, Dutton, as we said, business ends. It's either your final week or you start your fancy playoffs. Dutton, give us a fancy darling.
Hello, darling.
Well, it'll probably please you because you did mention this a few weeks ago, whether he was becoming a must-start in fantasy, and I tend to agree with you. It's Jamison Crowder. He has 75 receiving yards or a touchdown in his last 7 games. The Eagles give up more big passing plays than any other team. Lock him in. He's gonna go off this week, especially if Jordan Reed isn't at full strength, which he probably won't be.
I, for the love of God, hope you're right. But for every darling, Dutton, there's a loser.
It's London-born Jay Ajayi. The Cardinals, they don't play that game against running backs. You're not going to beat them with running backs. Trust me, they'll beat themselves. But he struggled last week against the Ravens. The Ravens give up the fewest fancy points per game to running backs. The second fewest is the Arizona Cardinals. So London-born Jay Ajayi, he's the lead back, but he's not going to get enough chances. And he's not going to be productive enough with his chances to be worth the candle this week. So, sorry, London-born.
I feel sorry for JJ because we call him London-born JJ because that's all NFL UK do, but that's not his fault. He doesn't know he's called London-born JJ. As far as his name concerned, his name's Jay.
That's a shame. NFL UK, by the way, the tenuous links to British-born players in the NFL makes me puke. Stop it.
Yeah,
the Cowboys did not get where they are because of Jack Crawford.
Well, that
didn't happen.
Well, that's a great British name.
It's a great rich name. It sums up, a man's man. But he's not the driving force behind this team.
I think Jack Crawford
the same way that
was a sergeant
the same
in
way
the
that,
London Police Force.
Yeah, the same way that Menelik Watson is not the reason that the Raiders are where they are. It's charming. It's pathetic. End it.
Yeah, act like you've been there before. After that NFL UK ban, let's get on with picking our daily fantasy teams of the week.
Mainz and Dutts, daily fantasy team of the week.
Show me the money.
We all know Dutton's the expert in this, and I'm here to press the buttons. But I would like to state that if you picked Mainz's daily fantasy team of the week last week, you would have got over 170 points, and like me, won 3 out of 3 in head-to-head. Thank you. Someone best praise me, no one else does. Dutton, who's your quarterback?
You do quite a good job yourself, my friend.
I do. I've been doing quite a good job of praising myself for about 30 years.
I would assume that no one's praising that beard.
It's yeah, shut up. Pick a quarterback.
I know you like Will Gavin, but there's really no reason to look like him.
Okay. I could make a horrible comment. I'm going to move on and just say quarterback.
Colin Kaepernick.
Dutton, I like it. Straight back on that train. Don't let it die.
I bought a return ticket, and I'm getting the return journey.
Dutton.
He's 5,800, and the Niners are playing the Jets.
The Jets who don't care and don't want to play anymore. There was no denying that didn't have to ask Todd Bowles 4 times if they quit.
No.
He said ass kicked 18 times in the press conference, I believe. So you say Will Gavin, fellow Ginge, bit of a beard, fellow Ginge me, quarterback Dutton, who else? Everyone's favourite Ginge, Andy Dalton, 6,100. Do you know who he's playing? The Browns. He lit up the Eagles. The Browns are worse. Yes, please.
He does have multiple touchdown passes in his last 3 games against the Browns. So, yeah, it's a good play.
But Browns stink. But good to see RG3 back. Let's hope he stays upright. Him against him. Well, I have a soft spot.
Couldn't care less.
No, I just hope Vontaze Perfect doesn't kill him. Who's your running back one, Dutton?
If not now, when? Todd Gurley. The Atlanta Falcons are putrid to running backs. They've given up 10 rushing scores and 5 receiving scores to running backs. His yards per carry has actually improved since Jared Goff has been under centre. Granted, it's only improved from 3.1 yards to 3.7, but it's there. He's $5,000.
Tell everybody that tweet related to Todd Gurley sent me today.
Oh, that Robert Turbin has the same number of touchdowns as Todd Gurley and 1 more than Lamar Miller. If you know which team Robert Turbin plays for,
please tweet at Waxing_Lyrical. As my response was, Turbin's still in the league. I didn't know that. Anyway, my running back one is Shady McCoy. We mentioned him earlier against the Steelers. I said may struggle in the red zone, but should hopefully get a lot of yards. He's 8,200. Running back 2 done.
Matt Forte. I think the Jets are going to have to will go a little bit more conservative, and by conservative I mean crap. So they won't take the shots. Marshall's a dead duck. I think we're going to start getting bad teammate Brandon Marshall. Forte, when they win games, gets an awful lot of volume. I think he averages something like 30 touches, when they win, 15 when they lose. And the San Francisco 49ers have not been able to stop any running backs this season. So 6,800 for Matt Forte.
I laugh in the face of your anti-Doug Martin sentiment. 6,200 against the Saints.
Well, you and Summerlin can paddle in that lifeboat together.
I look forward to it. We can talk about Aston Villa. Who's your wide receiver 1, Dutton?
Jamison Crowder. 5,600. Playing the Eagles. He gonna eat.
I've gone for Mike Evans. He's 8,900. He's playing the Saints. And Jameis Winston, that's you, that. Jameis Winston likes throwing to him. So I've gone with him.
Bold move.
Thank you. Wide receiver 2.
Mike Evans, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That was a brave move by you as well.
I've got some stats here. He has been targeted 78 times in the second half of games, which is the most of anyone, and he's been targeted in the fourth quarter of games 40 times, which is also the most of anyone. So regardless of down, distance, situation, score, Jameis Winston looks for Mike Evans.
Do you know why? Because he's flipping massive. It's difficult to miss him. Dutton, wide receiver 2, my favourite wide receiver, Golden Tate, 6,600 against the Bears. It's starting to become a love-in, Dutton.
Yeah. This is bordering on stalking.
That basic punt. I love, I know that Matthew Stafford is probably a top 5 MVP candidate this week. But no one, sorry, the world, don't be telling me that was a good play. He hid for his life and punted it. And it just so happened that Golden Tate's really good and got it.
Speaking of Stafford, is there anything you'd like to say to a
no? That's boring. No,
host of another.
It's boring. Like we
being wrong is boring, isn't it?
No, but we already apologised about that. I already said I was wrong, and that's fine. That's cool. You know, the thing is though, I was right when I said it. It just so happens that it couldn't have gone in a worse direction from that point on. He needs to.
What I don't like
that host needs to worry about his own NFL franchise and what they're going to do when they don't make the playoffs this season.
The only thing I don't like about it is me getting lumped in with your crap hot take. I remember distinctly, I said absolutely nothing. I didn't comment on it, but I'm getting dragged down with you.
But as I said, at the point statistically, there was factual evidence that Matthew Stafford and Jay Cutler were the same person. The issue now is that Jay Cutler's, now still Jay Cutler, and Matt Stafford thinks he's bloody Dan Marino. I can't help that. That's just one of them things, right? Who gets better in their 8th year in the league? Who does that? No one. That doesn't happen. Just because you've got some kind of wizard called Jim Bob as your offensive coordinator. Who's your wide receiver 3, Dutton?
It's Tyrell Williams, the San Diego Chargers. He was slightly dinged up last week. It was his lowest target total since week 6, but he's still been a top tier wide receiver in fantasy football against everyone but the Denver Broncos this season, and there's no shame in that. So for 6,100, they are playing the Carolina Panthers, who have bled fantasy points to wide receivers. So, yep, I'll have some of that.
I had no money left. So
every week.
Yeah, but so I picked Tavon Austin because I thought it'd be fun.
Oh my god!
Because I want to cheer on Tavon Austin getting yards done. It's 3,900. He's playing the Falcons. The Falcons stink. I'm one jet sweep for 50 yards away from this being a good pick.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Tavon Austin has 21 receiving yards or less in 3 of his last 4 games.
I know. I see the stats too. I didn't have any money left, and it was him or not starters. So that was it.
I've never actually tried. Can you go in with an empty slot?
Well, we'll find out.
Can you press save with an incomplete team?
Maybe I'll find that out. Don't lose your tight end.
CJ Fedora Waterwitz.
Again, what is your right? The thing I don't understand about this is that his quarterback is Brock Osweiler, so it doesn't matter if he's got a cool name or he can catch. Like, the guy can't throw it to him. Someone has to throw it to him.
But Griffin, the other tight end, and Fedorowicz are between them seeing about 48% of passing targets in the last month. He's looking for his tight ends because he's killing Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. And the Packers aren't that good against tight ends. So the volumes, not the Packers not playing the Packers, the Colts aren't that good against tight ends because their defense sucks. So I'm good. This is a ship I'm going down with. The Fedora goat.
Dutton, it's simple. Sunday Night Football at the Giants. It can only be one man. It's Old Man Witten. It's got to be Old Man Witten. 3,100. He's playing the G-Men. I'm expecting 60 yards and a touchdown, and for Tony Romo to be very unhappy that someone's stealing his best meat.
Maybe so angry he puts his cap on forward.
I doubt it. Who's your flex, Dutton?
Another one of your boys come good, Malcolm Mitchell. 4,200. He's seen his targets and his catches rise in the last 3 weeks. He's benefiting from the absence of Rob Gronkowski, more so than Martellus Bennett, which I believe I said might be happening because Bennett does absolutely nothing, with or without him. They are playing Baltimore, who literally don't give up anything to running backs, are quite stingy against wide receivers, but tight ends, but wide receivers ripping to pieces. So Malcolm Mitchell, 4,200. Yeah.
Back on the Titans beat the Broncos, Dutton. My flex is Delaney Walker, 4,400. He's going to have to get it off fast, Marcus Mariota, and I expect that means that Delaney Walker gets a lot of targets, hopefully, and maybe a touchdown or two.
It'd be nice. I mean, there's one way to beat the Broncos, well, to certainly put a dent in them, is with the tight end position. That's a historical. That's been going on for about 5 years. I'm not saying they get absolutely destroyed by it, but it's certainly somewhere to target in the hope that it opens up other things. But I say, you're walking this road alone, my friend.
Who's your defense done?
The Bengals.
See who they're playing for details. Last week, Dutton, I was laughed at because I picked the Colts against the Jets. Laugh again. I'm picking the Colts against the Texans. I got like 13, 14 points off the Colts last week. I know they were playing the Jets. But the Texans, don't know if anybody's aware. I don't know if anybody's noticed. It wasn't the snow that made them bad last week. They're just really, really bad on offense. Yeah.
Can I just stop you on your victory lap about the Colts just to say 5 words to you?
Go on,
just to say 5 words. I ran out of money. That is not a strategy, my friend.
Well, it worked this week. It worked last week. So when Tavon Austin does something for the first time ever, then we'll find out. On that note, let's quickly recap. Who's your quarterback?
Colin Kaepernick.
I've got Andy Dalton. Running back 1.
Todd Gurley.
I've got Shady McCoy. Running back 2.
Matt Forte.
I've got Doug Martin. Wide receiver 1.
Jameson Crowder.
I've got Mike Evans. Wide receiver 2.
Mike Evans.
Everyone's favourite Golden Tate. Wide receiver 3.
Terrell Williams.
I've got Tavon Austin. Tight end.
Fedora Goat.
I've got Jason Witten. Flex.
Malcolm Mitchell.
I've got Delaney Walker. And your defence done.
The Bengals.
I've got the Colts.
Is this the fewest similar selections we've had for quite some time? I think it's just one.
It is only one this week, Dutton. Mike Evans, which is either a good thing or a bad thing. We're about to find out.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, probably bad news for Mike Evans and Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. That's the week 14 preview in the books, Dutton. If you want to follow us, I'm on Twitter at Mainzy7. Dutton is at ndutton13, and together we are at Waxing_Lyrical. We try and tweet out as much as we can, and when I say we, I mean me, and I just try and retweet funny stuff.
You know, it's not me because the spelling is terrible.
Exactly. Yeah. If there are good well spelled tweets, they will probably be Dutton's. Any final words?
No.
Well, that's it then. Thanks, and we'll see you all next week.